In this tutorial, we'll take a look at the basics of the generic pricing script. Pricing scripts are versatile tools utilized to customize and control product pricing. They allow users to define pricing based on various attributes and attribute combinations, providing the flexibility to adapt pricing to specific business needs. Whilst custom pricing scripts can be created for niche scenarios, the Infigo provided generic pricing script can be used for the vast majority of cases. So the first thing we're going to do is to navigate to or create a brand new product. Pricing scripts are activated on a product basis. So let's navigate and begin by just creating a basic product. So the regular way, if I just go to product management, and I'll add a new sample product. With that product created, we next need to go to its product variant settings. And click on edit to get to the product variant. Just as a reminder, this is where a lot of the technical elements of the product are defined. Things such as pricing, weight, dimensional information, and things of that nature. Actually assigning the generic pricing script to a product is very, very easy. So if you start off just on the information tab, scroll down a little bit to find the attach a price script. And what you'll find in this drop down is the generic pricing script. Before you can make any additional changes, you need to go ahead and save that product. And then if you scroll back down to where we just specify the pricing script, you'll see there's now a couple of additional options available. Now, the generic pricing script has a default configuration. So if no additional configuration is performed inside this box here, which we'll come back to later, the settings displayed in the blue box below it will be followed for this particular product. We can override all or part of the generic configuration within the pricing script configuration box. Before taking a look at this in further detail, we will address the CSV document containing all of the pricing information for this particular product. So what we have on screen now is the associated CSV for this particular product. In addition to configuring settings for the pricing script, all of the pricing options will need to be detailed in a partnering CSV document. This example is about as simple as these documents can get. Later tutorials regarding pricing scripts will add more complexity to the pricing structure. So this sample document we've got here contains 3 rows, or 3 columns rather. We've got 2 columns which are associated with product attributes, which we will assign to the product in a moment. In our case, these product attributes are very simply just named as A and B. As a reminder, product attributes are things which allow you to define or select details for a product. So for example, if you had a clothing item, some of your attributes might be size, color, or material. The third column we've got is a price column. So this is actually showing us that if those 2 combinations of attributes are selected, this is the price that's going to be associated with it. So as we've mentioned, each row details a different pricing scenario. In this simple example, we'll detail 10 scenarios where pricing will be returned. If any selection sits outside of this scope, a default value of £10,000 or your selected currency will be displayed instead, just to make it really clear that there's been a problem somewhere with the selection. So in order to utilize this information, we need to save it as a comma-delimited CSV document. So if I just go to File and Save As within Excel, I can choose a comma-delimited CSV, give it a name, and save it. Now, returning to Infigo, what we need to do next is to upload this CSV data to an area that we call Global Additional Data. So you can get to this just by searching within the main menu, just for Global Additional Data. This area of Infigo acts as a file storage area for these CSV documents. Files can easily be added to this area, or they can even be split into subdirectories if required as well, which again we'll cover in later tutorials as they have quite specific purposes. To upload our newly created CSV, I'm just going to click on the upload file or drag and drop the file into this location. Once we've uploaded that, you'll see it's within this array of available documents. If we want to actually remember the name of that particular document, which we will need later on, or if we want to rename it, just find the associated entry, click on the little gear configuration settings icon, and that will allow you to rename that particular document. So we're going to leave this area for now, and I'm going to navigate back to our product that we were just working on. So what we're going to do now is to begin configuring the script for this particular product. So only segments of code requiring alteration from the default script in the blue box need to be addressed in the script configuration area. So in our sample, all we need to do in this case is to specify the name of the linked CSV file, which contains all of the relevant data for this particular product. So in order to do this, we just need to look in the blue box and copy and paste the relevant entries from here. So all we're going to need is this file path, which points us directly towards a certain CSV uploaded into Global Additional Data. So I'm going to copy that section of code. I'll make sure I input the closing bracket as well, just so we've got this finalized. And this is the only line that we're going to need. We are going to need to rename the file that it's pointing at, so we're going to need to make sure that this is the file or the name of the file that we've just uploaded. So I'm going to go and locate that. You want to include the file extension, and then just replace the default file.csv with our newly updated or newly uploaded CSV. Another thing to be careful of here is that the last line in this code does not need the comma at the end of the line. So as you'll see in the configuration here, most of these lines or segments have a comma at the end of them to denote that it's the end of a line of code. This is with the exception of the last line, which does not need one. So in this case, for example, if that is the only line that we're going to need, it's not going to need a comma at the end of that line of code. If you do mistakenly put a comma at the very end on the last line of code, then please do bear in mind that your script will not be able to run, and this is a very common syntax error that we see. Okay, so with that information input, let's go ahead and save that product. And now I'm just going to go ahead and view that product page. So we'll take a look at that on the front end. And what we can see is that we're initially being provided with some information that we might not have initially have expected. So this is the £10,000 that it's displaying here is the default price if there is an error when utilizing the pricing script. We're also presented with some helpful information into where the potential problems are occurring. So in this case, it's due to the fact that there are no match between the attributes specified on the product, for which we haven't currently assigned any, and the attributes specified within the pricing script CSV. So you can see it's giving us the default price to tell us there's a problem, and it's telling us where it thinks there is a problem. In order to resolve this, we're going to actually assign those two attributes to our product. So still within the product variant section, I'm going to go to attributes, and then add my two relevant attributes. Now I've already created these attributes in my example, There are separate resources on the Infigo Academy for creating attributes if you don't already know how to do this. So my relevant attributes are A and B. Now, in our simple example, we're assuming the product attribute names and the column headers within the CSV itself are identical in their naming convention. So AB and then AB. This is the easiest way to utilize the generic pricing script. We can specify if there is a difference in the naming convention. However, this will be covered in a later tutorial. So with that saved, I'm going to navigate back to my product landing page and refresh it. And we see we get a slightly different approach appearing now. We get a slightly different result. So we're still seeing a result of 10,000 initially, but that's because we've not defined any pre-selected values for these particular attributes. So it's not able to draw in a price from that CSV because it doesn't know what attributes values it's going to choose. However, if we start selecting values within those attributes, you can see that the pricing updates. So it's looking through that CSV document for a combination of attribute A and attribute B, and it's drawing back the appropriate price.